Generative's AI unicorn valuations. How can blockchain startups benefit?
Thank you everyone for being here, and thank you my co-panelists. My name is David Orban. I am the managing advisor of Beyond Enterprises. We are a strategic advisory firm helping blockchain and AI projects succeed. Why don't you take also a few moments to present yourselves?
I'm Simon Bonanno, head of BI at Algorand Foundation, which is a layer 1 blockchain. We are green blockchain, and I take care of BI and AI and data analytics in our blockchain ecosystem.
Hi, my name is Luca, Arrigo. I'm a co-founder at Metaverse Architects. My background is mostly based on startups, especially indie startups, and I've got also quite a background in innovation. Been working on some AI projects recently, and happy to talk about all of the new things that are happening in the space.
And hi everyone, my name is Joy. I'm the head of marketing and events at Metaverse Architects. As Luca just mentioned, we are Metaverse development advisory and consulting firm, and as of late we've actually been expanding our activities out to be focused a little bit more on the possibilities of working with AI. My background is actually in entrepreneurship, and I have years of working in the luxury leather goods industry as well as the fashion industry. So that's actually the niche that we're specifically focusing on to explore all of the different values that generative AI can bring us in our creative endeavors.
I ran a small survey before the panel asking the interested audience if they ever used a generative AI platform, and 90% responded no. So I thought it was useful to show some examples and define it just in a couple of minutes. As you may have guessed, the image that you saw in the opening was not the photo of a real unicorn. And you would have been right in guessing so. The image was generated based on an input in natural language, and a generative AI platform, in this case Midjourney, spit out the picture. We played around and gave another input. We said a panel of 4 people in a blockchain conference discussing the benefits of generative AI, an image created by AI on the screen in the background. And it's creepy. That's actually us. One of them is a woman. It's great. So this is the beauty, the magic, the immediacy of generative AI, which doesn't only apply to images, it can apply to text as well. So what I did, I told GPT-3, another generative AI platform that generates text rather than images, create an outline for a panel about the use of generative AI in blockchain, and it very kindly provided me with the questions that I'm going to ask them. Isn't that wonderful? Helping me with my job as moderator. So the opportunities are endless. These are slides from other presentations of mine. We are really, in my opinion, at a phase transformation where these tools are going to be everyday tools that we can understand, take advantage of, and incorporate in our day-to-day activities, startups, projects, ideas, and we will be really able to achieve new endeavors, new objectives, and in a few years we will look back and not even understand how we could be ever without them. So let's start you said your job is BI, which stands for Business Intelligence. This traditionally is an analytic and, let's say, classification task where AI can be useful. However, it is different from generative AI. So how do you see business intelligence and generative AI actually getting together?
What we're doing, and I'm talking from practical examples we're working on with our ecosystem partners, is we have the creators doing creations. Now it could be manual creations or using generative AI to create NFTs, for example. Then those NFTs pass through a blockchain where you have royalties, payments, fractionalization, and all the pathway blockchain offers. Then what we do on top of that with BI and machine learning and AI is we analyze the sales, the trends, and we try to use machine learning algorithms to forecast which NFTs are going to be sold, which NFTs are doing well, which NFTs people are buying together. And the beauty about generative AI and blockchain is one thing. In AI, we always want data to work with. And in blockchain, that data is on-chain, it's open, it's available, and it's verified data. So you can run any AI model on that data you want with a certain degree of trust and accuracy.
What about you? How do you see a metaverse enriched by generative AI components? We will hear from Joy about, for example, the fashion industry, maybe. What is another example that you could give?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, in the generative AI and metaverse, there's quite a big linkage coming up, which is using the same AI that can generate images, instead creating 3D spaces. And you can think of that as more closely to what the Matrix or the holodeck in sci-fi is actually like, where you enter a space, you describe what you would like to see and experience, and it delivers it to you. So that's definitely quite exciting. What I'm really kind of championing at the moment is the release of Stable Diffusion, which is open source and accessible to everyone. And why I think that's extremely exciting for this next wave of AI unicorns, if we could call them that, is that the kind of the barrier to entry for AI has been reduced a lot by the release of this open source software, and it's allowing a lot more of people to come to market quickly, which is why we've been seeing in the past 2-3 months so many of these new generative AI startups coming into fruition. Yeah, that's. Joy?
So yeah, where we've been expanding on kind of looking, while still staying in 3D, because obviously we're working in the metaverse, but what we're also trying to do is to explore the process of actually using, like Stable Diffusion in this case, to experiment around training AIs to kind of think within the parameters and also like think outside of the parameters of different like subcategories within the fashion industry, as well as also taking into account the kind of luxury segment, but also considering really the sustainability side of things when you have the ability to essentially input data into this particular AI with regards to fashion, and you're able to train this AI to really think along the lines of your designs, you know, the history of your company, and that's why I mentioned like a Louis Vuitton or so. If you could put all of the historic data of that into this AI, and then through that use different prompts, which is the great part about text-to-image generation, is that you use your prompts and your keywords to actually see more examples than placing that pressure all exclusively on a human to think up that collection, which is basically where the fashion industry predominantly is at the moment, and that's fine. And I don't think that AI is going to replace humans. I think that we're in an incredible era, as they call it, the era of collaboration. So where I see AI really coming in is being more like a tool for a designer to use and consult in the process of developing these collections, but not just that, also using the hyper realistic detailed images that can actually be generated without us needing to manually 3D model that, like dress, for example, to actually market test and product test before going through the production run cycle, which yields a lot of waste in the process when you miss the market with the product line and so on. And so I really think that, yes, where one might need to bias AI is a little bit more in the realm of fashion. I think that it is an efficient tool, and we're going to see a lot of like groundbreaking results emerge from that.
One important aspect that has been mentioned is the need to prompt these systems, and prompt engineering is developing a new kind of profession where understanding how to actually receive from the black box of these models the kind of output that you want can make a big difference. Someone maybe would spend 10 times the effort in order to obtain the result, as opposed to someone else who is good in prompt engineering when they know what they are doing. This is highlighting how AI systems often are a mirror in our own behavior. When they are biased, it's not because they want to be biased, it's because that's how they've been trained out of what we feed them. When we don't get the results that we want, is because we tend to be lazy, at least I know I am, and I give it a try or two with the prompts, and if the image is not exactly what I had in mind, it is still going to be quite nice, and I will go ahead and use it. So what other challenges you see as you think about how to incorporate these tools in your projects, in your platforms?
Two problems usually we see. One is always, as you said, getting the correct model. And the problem there is that these models are centralized. So if we mention GPT-3, DALL-E, etc., they are centralized, pre-trained. So you're going to get what there is. So to overcome that, we always say, try to use open source models, or if you use these tools, combine them with specific data which you have. What do I mean? The topic is generating the next unicorn with generative AI. Now, as Luca said, these tools are very easy to use. I urge you to try them. In a couple of minutes, you can have the presentation which the gentleman did. So how can we create like a moat or an advantage for our product? So the advantage would be that you combine these tools with specific data of your business, and then coming from a blockchain environment to have that decentralized as much as possible. So if you can get good decentralized data on your platform, run these tools with other AI tools, you can have, I think, a competitive advantage versus other people who will be using these tools, which are open source and free to use.
Firstly, I really like what Simon is doing. It's like you've got an organization that is communicating to each other with the different sections, and you're having outputs that are then influencing the AI again, and decisions are being made, which allows me to link that kind of structure with the metaverse as well. One of the major platforms out there is decentralized, it's a DAO. And a lot of these AI tools can actually be used within DAO structures, because at the end of the day, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization which has people inside of it. Those people need direction, they need decisions to be made, they need salaries to be paid. And I think these different AI tools could be incorporated into DAOs, and there's quite a bit of theory about how it can happen, as well as the risks that go along with doing something like that. And one other thing I'd mention, which is maybe relevant to your point also, is is the decentralization aspect. A lot of these tools at the moment, of course, we're relying on, even if it's open source, we're either using local processing power, but more often than not, we're using cloud processing power. Now, if all of that work that's being done is done by centralized cloud providers, then of course they still own the market in that sense, which is an interesting thing to link to blockchain. Because actually yesterday on another panel, there was a representative from Kudos, which are on the Cosmos network, that actually do decentralized computation for machine learning. And they allow people who have a 3090 graphics hard drive on their PC at home to supply that processing power to the network at a rate that's better than today's centralized cloud providers. So I think that's also another aspect that blockchain and AI could converge.
What are the challenges that you see, Joy?
So I think that when we refer to the challenges that we kind of experience at the moment, and I kind of look at it a bit more from a kind of macro perspective or just like a global perspective, it's like at the moment, the way that we try to onboard people into understanding what kind of benefits there are, or companies, because we work with lots of different clients and we produce wearables for them, and we of course are very active in producing things around fashion digitally. But I think what's really important is to try to help brands and companies kind of understand where they could benefit from this, and then actually have our models to be essentially fine-tuned and perfected so that we can actually start to offer this to clients too, to help them. Because again, I really see this as being a very efficient tool for IP-based companies to use, where you have a system which, and of course us all being in the blockchain industry, we would like this all to be completely transparent and seamless and decentralized. So that's kind of like the base from which we're building now at the moment, and it's quite fascinating where we're going to go with this. But I definitely think the thing that is a challenge is education and onboarding people to not be so, I guess, just afraid of embracing this very big new wave of technology that is available now as a result of like the past 30, 40 plus years of just like, or more, even still more than that, but just this hard work that's resulted in us being where we're at now. For like all of us, we have access now to kind of start to do something. Many people don't have access to that yet, and it needs to become a lot more user-friendly from a front-end perspective to ever really convince somebody to independently go out of their way to actually test how technology can benefit the work that they do. And so, yeah, I think, as always, it's just about onboarding more to be embracing and not living in a kind of dystopian image of AI.
Remarking on what you said from a meta perspective, I totally agree that being able to learn about these opportunities is key. And as Simon said, the tools that are available now are actually easy to use. So it is really just a question of desiring to experiment. The challenge comes from the fact that the evolution of the tools is so fast that it is relatively hard to understand what is the right investment in understanding a given tool in depth before it's time to move to the next one. And a lot of people, I believe, feel paralyzed by their own inability to make the decision. Is it now the right time to get on board with this and then get deep on it? Or should I wait a little bit more? And very easily they fall on the side, okay, let me wait, rather than try. So I would like to send as the message concluding our panel today, that the time is right. The time to wait is not now. These models are available in open source. Any technical people in your teams is going to be able to install and train them based on your specific requirements. And even though the examples that we gave today are relative to generating images or text, actually they can generate anything.
Even code.
Programming code or policies and regulations for DAOs, right? There is really just a question of imagining what is possible to create the next generation of sustainable, resilient, and very, very valuable projects marrying blockchain and generative AI. Thank you for my panelists for your valuable contribution, and thank you everyone for being here.